Hi everyone, it's Alan here again from ABTS Training Services in London, England. Again on a very, very cold March day. As you can see on the screen, I'm going to talk about my 5 biggest money deals. And this came up really from a request from you good people out there. And I've been asked frequently, what were your best deals? How did you get them? And I thought, well, let me do just a short YouTube so I don't bore the socks off you. And I thought, well, I racked my brains and I thought, well, okay, yeah, there's 5 of them. I think I mentioned some of them, or I might have mentioned some of them before on YouTube. So bear with me, please. It's an age thing, okay? So bear with me. My 5 best deals, and they were the biggest money deals. And to be quite honest with you, I don't like the word money deals there. I rather have the 5 most exciting, challenging deals I ever did, which earned me some money at the end. So, okay, let's go off. I did mention this deal before in a different context. But this was, we were asked to supply and erect, in other words, a turnkey project, supply and erect a leisure center for Benghazi in Libya. So that was, I suppose, number 1, for 2 reasons. It was financially rewarding, but it really, really made me work hard, stress hard, and think hard. It was wonderful. I got everything out of it, okay? Now, that deal was a request from a company in Libya. When I was there, they approached me. And they said, we have been awarded a turnkey project. And they told me about it in Libya, here in Libya. But we don't have the wherewithal, the manpower, or the time to undertake this project. Obviously, we don't want to lose it. So would you be interested in taking over the project? So I said, yes, of course. Now, I emphasize, I didn't get the project originally. I didn't have to fight for it. So I don't pretend I was this wonderful guy who went over to Libya and got this contract. I didn't. It was more or less a request from a client of mine. And it was so interesting. It was so interesting from the point of view of how I managed to get this leisure centered erected, and so interesting in the methods of payment that was used, and really taxed all my knowledge of logistics, payments, shipping, negotiating skills, etc., etc. So basically, here's the deal, as they say. I came back to England, and all I had with me was the architect's plans. And I thought, where do I start on this guy? I'm not an engineer by trade or by profession. So I contacted a construction company in the north of England, arranged a meeting, showed them the plans, and they said to me, yeah, this is fairly straightforward. It's erect a building and use cladding to clad it, etc., etc. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. It's no big deal. So I managed to get the construction company. And then the exciting part of it, I found, was purchasing the interiors. We had like a swimming pool in there. We had a gymnasium in there. We had a coffee bar. We had a recreational center with tennis tennis tables, billiard tables, dart boards, the usual run-of-the-mill that you'd see in a leisure center, in a municipal leisure center. And that was the exciting part. The exciting part was buying all of those goods. And I was a very limited company, not in the legal sense, but in the financial sense. So I was working on an irrevocable, confirmed, transferable, revolving letter of credit, which gave me headaches every night when I think about it. So that's how I did my purchasing. Most of it was done in England, fortunately. Some of it from Germany, from memory. And my job was not only to buy all these goods, but to convince everybody that I would pay them by letter of credit. And some of these companies, they never heard of letters of credit. And here's this guy walking in and saying, I want a swimming pool from you, and I want you guys to go to Libya and put it and install the swimming pool. And I'm going to pay you on part of a transferable, irrevocable, confirmed letter of credit. And they look at me and they say, you know, go take a hike. So I had a lot of selling to do, persuading companies. I wasn't always successful. I'd have to go to a second tranche of companies. So anyway, long story short, as I always say, at the end, I made, from memory, I made about 8 shipments, containerized shipments to Benghazi with all the bits and pieces in it, so as to speak. Organized a gang of guys to go out and erect the building, etc., etc. Really, really, really interesting. It opened areas that I'd never been in before, which were rather intimidating, but at the same time made me want to do it. Go into the unknown, you know, take risks, but calculated risks, take risks. So I would say that in the hot 5 of deals I did, yeah, that comes in at number one. Number one, the leisure center in Benghazi in Libya. And it was opened, this is going back, as you'll appreciate from what I'm about to say, it was opened by Gaddafi himself. I wasn't there at the time, fortunately, I think. But yes, Mr. Gaddafi came along with his entourage, and they officially opened the very large complex of which my little leisure center was part of. So I kind of felt, hey, that's good. That's good. Pity I wasn't there, you know. But I wasn't. Anyway, so that comes in at number 1. Number 2, totally different, less exciting, shall we say. The second one it was supplying raisins, dried grapes, to you and I. And I supplied major UK supermarkets with raisins, packaged raisins from Turkey. Obviously, I'm not giving you the names of the supermarkets, but major supermarkets throughout the UK, major chains of supermarkets. Let me tell you how it came about. Again, I was in Izmir in Turkey on business. And I was approached by this gentleman who I had previously done business with. And he said to me, I've thousands of tons of raisins and I want to expand my markets and I want to get into the UK. Can you go back there and help me? So that was my brief, approached by a business colleague of mine. So I did. I went back to the UK. He flew me over some samples. I knew nothing about raisins beyond their dried grapes. And I approached the buyers in various fruit wholesalers in England, and they kind of looked at them and smelt them and ate them and squashed them and said, yeah, it's good product, yeah, it's quite good. Where they come from? I said, well, they're from grapes grown in Izmir. Oh, wow, that's good. We didn't talk prices, and that gave me confidence. So I start ringing up buyers in the large supermarkets. And some of them said, no, not really. No, we've got a supplier, thank you. We don't need that. Okay. And some said, yeah, come in, come in. So two of the very big chains of supermarkets liked what they what they ate and saw, and they asked me to come back and talk shop with them. Prices, delivery, packaging. They wanted a particular brand name on them. They didn't want anything obviously in Turkish. They wanted it in English, etc., etc., etc. So I made note of all this. Went back to Izmir, saw my contact there, and said, this is the deal. This is what they want. These are the prices we've got to come in at, etc., etc., etc. And we put together a very, very good package. I went back to the UK. I made more appointments, and I showed my products to the buyers, and they said, yeah, ideal, ideal. And one supermarket asked me, they wanted their brand name on it, not their name, but a name, a special name on it, and which we said, yeah, we've no problem with that. And that was it. And I used to go shopping in the supermarket, in my local supermarket, and purposely I would go down to where it says baking products. And I'd swagger down there and go to Raisins, sultanas, and bang, there they were. And I used to puff out my chest and say, I brought those in from Izmir. And I made some money on it. So, the second one I would say was, and the fun one really, was Raisins from Turkey. It was nothing like the leisure centre, totally different type of people dealing with, and where I couldn't go past the leisure centre every day and push out my chest and say, I got that there. With the Raisins, I could pick them up and look at them and say, yes, that came in the container last month. Yeah, I remember that one. So Raisins. Third one, and it was a difficult decision whether this should be second or third, but the third one was alarms, portable alarms you put on windows and doors. Now, this was way before you have a bell you can stick on your door and you can see who's at the door. And if you try to open the door, all hell breaks loose with noise and whip, 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 and it comes over to your phone, to your iPhone, and you go face to face with the guy who's trying to break into your house. It was pre those days, in the good old simple days. And it was an alarm system you could attach to mainly hall doors, garage doors, windows, anything like that. Battery powered. And when the door was open, and when you activated this, when the door was opened, it went off. A hell of a noise. It went off. Okay. It was very, very new to the market. Where did I find it? I found it in a magazine. Can't even think of the name of it now. A magazine advertising goods you can buy in Hong Kong. And I saw this and I thought, wow, I've never seen anything like this before. This could be a seller. So I contacted the Hong Kong office. They were made in mainland China, but they were distributed through Hong Kong. We got into a conversation and I asked them, can I have a few samples, please? Just air freight them over, I'll pay for them. And they were very decent, actually. They said, no, it's okay. So they air freighted free of charge to me. I forget now, maybe a dozen or so. And that's when it really kicked in. That's when I had to do the legwork. And I spent a few months driving around hardware shops that sell cups and saucers and screws and screwdrivers and batteries and things like that. And I went around for a couple of months, a daily grind. Tough going. I started off, obviously, in London, because that's where I am. And then I'd work my way to Manchester, to Bristol, to Liverpool. I stayed in the UK, didn't go over the border into Scotland at that time. And they were so well received. People were saying, "Where are you getting these?" And I'd go, "I get them." Of course, I wouldn't tell them where I was getting them from. And I actually stuck my neck out a bit and I said, "I'm the sole importer of these goods." I wasn't. "I'm the sole importer of these goods." And they were saying, "Well, when you get your stock in, come back, come back. These are wonderful." So then I went to a couple of wholesalers. Same reaction. "Where did you get these? These are brilliant." So with a good market research under my belt, I went back and told my colleagues over in Hong Kong, "Hey, these will sell like hotcakes," but only through me, through my contacts. So I got a sole agency, a stockist. I wanted complete control on them, on pricing, on everything. And eventually they came in. I put them in a bonded warehouse so I wouldn't have to pay duty on them all when they came in. I just paid duty on bits and pieces when they came in. And I started selling them. And then I nominated self-employed salespeople, and they sold them. And that was a steady income. Your income was from turnover rather than a wham bam like in the leisure centre. And more or less like the Raisins. It was a steady turnover. But they went on for years and years and years. And it was before you had the web as such. And I used to advertise in newspapers and magazines. Ideal Home magazine. I remember one magazine where I used to advertise. And we did a mail order with these. And I used to be awake all night packing these things and sticking them in jiffy bags and getting all my friends to do the same thing. So we had a thriving little mail order business going. Plus using freelance sales reps, plus myself going direct to wholesalers on that. So that was a really, really, really good, business. I'm sorry, I was interrupted by the bin men there coming to my window. So if you heard that, I'm sorry. That was some of the refuse collectors coming to my door. Okay, let's get back on my odyssey of making millions. So that was number 3, alarms. Now, number 4 is a really interesting one, I think. Maybe you're all asleep out there at this stage, but I think it's interesting and you're going to listen to it, okay? Number 4 was small woolen rugs that you would put purpose-made for baby prams and baby cots and baby beds. They were woolen rugs, very decorative woolen rugs that mum and dad would tuck baby into the cot with in the winter. And if you took them out in the winter with in their pram, you would put one of these rugs over them. Okay, let me give you a little bit of history on that. I didn't find them. I didn't source them. These were sourced by a very enterprising Italian lady who was visiting an Italian village, and she saw these old ladies sitting outside weaving or making out of wool these intricate large blankets. And she became fascinated by them and she got talking to them. And she said, "You could miniaturize those blankets, can't you?" And they said, yes, you can miniaturize them. They're quite easy. And she paid them. She actually paid them money, very entrepreneurial, to teach her how to make one of these blankets. And the ladies were very flattered and they earned some money. Moving forward, she came back to the UK and she devised a frame which she could wrap around down this way and the wool up this way. And she started making designs. This took her the best part of a year. She started making designs and miniaturizing them and putting pom-poms on them. And wow, she really got stuck into this. That's all she did. And when she was finished, she had come up with beautiful, unusual, unique, handmade rugs. But she didn't know anything about marketing. So this is where I came in. I was introduced to the lady, and she told me all this, what I've just told you, and she showed me the samples of these beautiful rugs. And I thought, oh my goodness, again, a unique item, handmade on a loom, but handmade. So I asked her to produce for me, I forget how many number right now, and I visited all the baby shops in England. I won't use the brand name, but a very well-known baby shop, chain of shops in England, and they went mad. They thought, wow, I've never seen this. Where do you get these from? And then I went to the big department stores along Oxford Street, which is quite a big street in England for retailers. And they were beating one another to get some of these in. And then the gem was when I managed to get them into Harrods. I'm sure you've all heard of Harrods, the very snobby type of store in London. Yeah, I visit there. I visit Harrods a lot. Quite a lot at my age, actually, because I love the toilets, the public toilets in Harrods. It's like going into Buckingham Palace, or what I'd imagine the toilets are like in Buckingham Palace. So I'm well known in Harrods, on the 4th floor, by the way, where the men's toilets are. Anyway, I went to Harrods. I spoke to the buyers. They were in raptures about it. And that business, what I advised the company to do is they used outworkers to make these. In other words, they would give the wool, various color wool, to women who worked from the house, outworkers. And they would say to the women, here's 20 sacks of this wool. I want you to make 84 models of this, 25. And then they would come around in a van and pick them up from the ladies and pay them. So it was what we call in England, a cottage industry. And all the ladies were centered originally in London for obvious reasons. So I organized and employed a few people with vans, and that's all they did. They collected the wool, they brought it to the ladies' houses, they gave them an order of what they wanted done, and then the original lady, Italian lady, would hold training sessions, which I told her, just advertise that you will be in Nottingham, Sheffield, and you're going to give free training lessons on this, not giving any secrets away, for people to become outworkers, and it worked. I had a consultancy fee, and I had a percentage on every sale. I had nothing to do with it. It was passive income for me. But very passive and lots of income. So that was wonderful. That was really wonderful. Baby cot covers that we sold everywhere. And they were going for years and years and years. But of course, the type of cot and the type of pram ladies push has changed completely. Now you have children in these buggies, and you think with pumped up wheels and brakes on them. as if they were going to a drag strip or something, or climbing a mountain. These were more genteel types of prams with sprung suspension and cots that swing. You can guess how old I am. But wow, did they sell an original idea, a gem of an idea, a spark of an idea, which was enlarged upon by this one lady who had it all there. Okay, baby cots came in at number 4. Number 5, and I discussed this again in another context on a webinar, but it was supplying and shipping secondhand construction equipment to the UAE. How did I get that? Again, I was in the UAE on business, and I was approached by one of my clients who said they have a friend who has one of the largest construction companies in the UAE, and they are finding it very, very difficult to source second-hand construction equipment like off-road trucks, cement mixers, everything. Now, bearing in mind, in the UAE, although it is a magnificent country and very, very well advanced, there's not many kind of corner shops where you can buy nails and a hammer gun and a safety helmet, safety harnesses. So we had to supply everything, literally from nails to hard hats, and in between off-road dump trucks, secondhand Caterpillar tractors, ripper blades, U-blades, etc., etc., etc. Now that came about, as I say, by a request. Could you do it? And I came back with an order from the UK, or from there to the UK, and I sourced a company in England that supply secondhand dump trucks, etc., etc. We had a chat. Things went from one thing to the other, and that business, I think, lasted, from memory, I was supplying for about 5 years. And it even came down to, they wanted me to, not me personally, but to organize the trucks, the equipment to be sandblasted, repainted with the construction company name in Arabic on the side or the top, as the case may be. So we were into sign writing at the end, and sandblasting, which obviously we farmed out to specialists. So that's my list of the top 5 earners. The leisure centre, Raisins, door alarms, baby cot covers, and coming in at number 5, secondhand construction equipment. There you have it. Okay. Now, what I wanted to impress upon you is that business doesn't come from just one source. You can be walking along the road and business hits you over the top of the head, and you've got to be prepared for it. Business can come from third parties. And people used to say to me, you're very lucky in your career. You've got a lot of leg ups, as we say in England. You've got a lot of help. And my answer to that question was, yeah, thank God. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got a heck of a lot of help. But may I add something to that? It's no use getting help if you can't do it. If I was offered the leisure centre and I hadn't a clue about purchasing, about payments in international trade, about logistics of shipping, about negotiating skills, I'd die in the water. I'd have an opportunity, but nothing would come of it. So I want to stress, it's not a YouTube me, how good I am, how wonderful I was, how I set the world on fire with my skills. No, it was far from that. I was blessed in many occasions. I didn't instigate the business. The business came to me. On the alarms, I instigated the business. Yes, definitely. But you have to, for to be successful, in view of what we've just been talking about, I'm just reading my list here. Hard work. Second, hard work. Third, you guessed it, hard work. Don't give up. Don't give up. It's hard work. It's not for the faint-hearted. International buying, international supplying, logistics, it's not for the faint-hearted. You really got to dedicate yourself. Hence, I'm losing my hair and it's white. It's because of my years as a younger man working my head off. I was going to say something else, but I can't. I'm on YouTube. So I'll say my head. Working my head off. Okay, hard work. Perseverance. Don't give up. He said no today. Tomorrow they might say yes. Don't give up. Perseverance. And trust me, particularly on the leisure centre, perseverance. My goodness me. Companies would say, no, I don't want to supply you with this because you're working on letters of credit. We know nothing about it. And I'd have to have meetings with the bank managers. And the bank manager would have to relay it to them. Yeah, he's okay. This is bona fide. And that could take, in that number one, my leisure centre, it took me, from memory, about 6-7 months to complete of hard work. Lots of travel, perseverance. Okay, you won't give me the swimming pool, I'll go to another supplier. You won't do that, I'll go to another supplier. Okay, so perseverance. I found that presentation skills, my goodness, presentation skills, so important, so important, so important. Presentation skills. Product knowledge. Now, in the Supply and Direct, the Leisure Centre, product knowledge didn't play a huge part in it. But in the Sultanas and Raisins, in the store security, in the cot covers, and in the second-hand equipment, product knowledge was king. Because if I was with a buyer and he asked me a question about the raisins, which I couldn't answer, and I said, I'll get back to you tomorrow, you're dead. You've lost their interest. Product knowledge. You can't say, I don't know. Okay, product knowledge. Logistical knowledge. It's okay if you get a large contract for a turnkey project to supply and erect something in Syria. If you don't know how to get it there, if you don't know how to negotiate freight rates, if you don't know the import procedures in that country, if you don't know how to get it through customs, is it going to be stuck there for 6 months? You know, you've got to think these things. So logistic knowledge, not the most important, but one of the most important. Okay, that's about it, really. That's about it. You've listened, and I thank you for listening. You've listened to me talk about my 5 best money earners. You might say to yourself, hang on, if he earns so much money, why is that a print behind him? And it's not an original Picasso, because I didn't earn that much money, basically. Okay. So that's about it. You've got there our name, our company. As those of you who have watched my YouTubes before, you know, we're a training company based in England. Our forte is basically importing and exporting, letters of credit, how to become an agent. If you think we could help you further your career as a procurement agent, or to go into any of the business I've just spoken about, contact us. Contact us. See, can we help you? That's it. What I would like to do is, before I finally finish, is do you have any subject, obviously related to logistics and purchasing, and do you have any subjects you'd like me to talk about? Because if you do, please contact us. We're on YouTube. Please contact us. And I'll be only too happy to look at those. And hopefully they will be of more interest to not just you, but to a general audience. And I'd be only too happy to talk about them. So please contact me. And if you like what I'm doing, say so. If you don't like what I'm doing, don't contact me, please. I only take positive results here. And tell me what you'd like me to chat about. Okay, and I'll be only too happy to do it. So it's goodbye from me, and see you around on the next YouTube. I hope you like this. I hope it gave you a little bit of inspiration, and I hope it gave you a kind of food for thought. Okay, so I'm going to finish off here. Once again, say bye, folks. See you around. Cheers.